But let's just start with Teleperformance, sort of, and what was your vision, and tell me about the company.
So now, what is Teleperformance? I'm going to make it super short. 44 years. 44 years ago, I was very young, and I decided to use the telephone as a commercial and marketing tools to help the companies to be more efficient in their sales process and in the service process. And since 1978, Teleperformance has been surfing waves and technological waves. The first one was, thanks to the Moore law, the ability to have enough power to get data online, and so to be smarter in online interaction. The second one has been the mobile phone. The third one has been the internet service provider. The fourth one has been internet plus mobility, the smartphone, and then the social media, and tomorrow the blockchain and the metaverse. And all these waves that Teleperformance has served, our purpose have been to be professional, smart enough, expert enough to become the help of the largest company to adjust to the new environment.
Do you have a customer service philosophy that you expound?
Our purpose is to reduce the friction that exists between a customer or a citizen and the company or the government is interacting with. And so we are a people company. We use a lot of technology, but we are an army of service. So we are a force of good. We don't like friction. We try to reduce frictions.
I love being a force for good and reducing friction. I mean, that's a vision, a mission that people can get behind, clearly understand, and can see how their action contributes to that every day. So you could not be more clear. It's great. But secondly, how do you do that? You know, what do you attribute your success to? What can others learn from you?
First, you have to remain humble, because the success is for yesterday, and you have to build the success of tomorrow.
Yes.
Second, I think that curiosity is a quality number one.
Yes.
To be curious, to understand what is behind the curtain, to understand the motivation of the people, to understand the different culture. And in fact, I think my appetite to know the different cultures of the world has been a big driver for me to build a global company. But then, and that's why I said humble, you learn by managing. You manage better by managing. It's like you learn by teaching. I mean, there is no way I could have a master plan 44 years ago for what we are today. Absolutely no way. It's just that there is something also super important, is to have the people with you. And that's why a strong company culture is critical. For us at Teleperformance, we have a set of 5 values. Integrity. Integrity is, I say what I do and I do what I say. Respect, I treat the other the way I would like to be treated. Professionalism, I do the things right the very first time. Innovation, I'm curious and I innovate. And commitment, I'm engaged. And so these 5 values, we say to our managers all over the world. There is more or less 20,000 managers at Teleperformance. And we say them all over the world, guys, There is a set of values. We have a strategy. Now, in the day-to-day delivery, you are going to make a lot of decisions by yourself. Each time you make a decision, make sure that this decision is compliant with the 5 values. If it's compliant with the 5 values, it's okay. Even if we are not successful, we will change. If you make a decision, even if you are successful with this decision, but if it's not compliant with the 5 values, we have an issue. So, and I think the people love that because it's a company, Teleperformance is an adventure, is a company with a purpose. We try to be a force of good. We are very much engaged in environment and social responsibility. We try to be a force of good in the communities where we interact by supporting school in the slums, in the favela, and so many things. And TP people are super happy to be member of TP family. It's not an autocracy. It's a sense of belonging.
So you created this ecosystem that people self-select into and then want to remain because of the strong culture that you have. Again, applause. I mean, you must have some cadence of meetings, some methodology in place. It's one thing to obtain that alignment, but you maintain it over time. How do you maintain that?
There are 2 periods, pre-COVID and post-COVID.
Of course.
Pre-COVID, it has been by walking around management. I learned that 40 years ago from Tom Peters when he was explaining how some Walmart was visiting, even when he was very old, with his old truck, visiting his stores, checking if there was dust, visiting the toilets. This is what I've done for dozens of years. I think that the plane was my most frequent bed.
Yes.
That's the first one. Being on the field, interacting with the people, listening at the people, getting ideas. Then, something that has helped, we have always been obsessional about sharing best practices. And at the same time, we are obsessional about sharing best practices. We are obsessional about being very lucid with ourselves. Where are we strong? Where are we weak? What is the gap? How are we going to close the gap? And we call that, this is business discipline, we call that real-time transformation. And this is what are the next 30 days, what are the next 60 days, what are the next 90 days. Any issue needs to have found a significant part of its solution within 90 days. When we acquire a company, every integration has to be done in 90 days. And it's not 90 days, it's 30, 60, 90.
Right. Yeah.
And so we have a discipline, and this discipline is not ideological. This discipline is the magic of the numbers. We love the number. We love the data. We cross the data. We connect the dots. This is our obsession, and we try to find sense to sets of data to improve what we are doing.
So while we're talking about those sort of bigger things, let's talk about the industry for a moment. So what's happening in your industry? You mentioned, sort of blockchain is next, the metaverse is next. How are you thinking about that? How are you preparing for it? How are you impacted by it as an organization?
In fact, what is happening and started to happen maybe 4 or 5 years ago to the whole economy is the digital transformation.
Yes.
And the digital transformation has created two types of companies, the disruptors and the disrupted. The disruptors typically are the digital platform. The disrupted are typically the brick and mortar. But the story is not written because we discovered that the disruptors, even if you have the scale theory, the scale theory do not always work as well as it was said in terms of sustainability. And the disruptor can build some kind of digital strengths that help them to manage. For us, Teleperformance, of course, as soon as we saw the development of the AI, the robotic process automation, the bots, the big data analytics, and so on, we decided to embrace it. Not to be afraid, because we had our army of service thinking, oh my God, this is going to replace us. No, we said, oh great, this is going to enhance our capacities. Maybe I was influenced, because it doesn't come just like that. I think I was influenced by Kasparov, who was so sad when he lost against Big Blue, but then wrote a book, and in his book he said, artificial intelligence is going to enhance the human capacities. And so we are jumping to that, and it has helped us to build solutions that are simpler, faster, better, more cost-effective for our clients. And we think we are going to see that more and more, and it helps somehow to take care of a lot of objective data. Thanks to the artificial intelligence, we can have the data immediately online and so on. But so our people, our large army of service, can focus on the emotional side of the relation. And you know, when there is an interaction, it's not just all about rational.
No.
There is a lot of emotional to take care, and then you put the little grain of salt of the rational.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So our time is almost up. I have a final question for you. In my consulting business, my tagline is up and to the right, because that's the place on a 2x2 matrix where we always want to be. So if you think back on your career, was there a moment or an event where you knew that you in your career were moving up and to the right? I know you're very humble. I hope you can think of a moment where this was true for you.
To me, it has always been, I don't know how to say that. It's not a brilliant image, but I remember this advertising for Johnny Walker with keep walking.
Yes, keep
And
walking.
for us, it has always been keep walking and do the best you can.